action, and together helping expand economic opportunity across America. Visit bankofamerica.com/great place to work. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
From the pages of the Elgin newspapers of 100 years ago today, these are the headlines brought to you by the Elgin History Museum.
This is Linda Rock sharing newspaper stories from 100 years ago, November 13th, 1925. Assailing the American people for what she termed their terrible apathy, self-satisfied contentment, and lack of interest and confidence in their own government, Mrs. Medill McCormick of Chicago, in a speech here last night, called upon the women of the Fox River Valley to inform themselves about grave public questions now confronting our country, and urged them to take a greater interest in politics. Mrs. McCormick, who is rated as one of the most active and picturesque women political leaders in the Middle West, spoke before the Elgin unit of the Illinois Women's Republican Club in the Fox Hotel. Her subject was the World Court.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by Hot Hands. This afternoon, mostly sunny with a high near 55, with temperatures falling to around 48. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 37. Tomorrow, sunny with a high near 64, with temperatures falling to around 58 in the afternoon. Currently, it is 52 with clear skies. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Rain-X wipers are the #1 wiper blades in America. That means all kinds of drivers choose Rain-X. Big drivers in small cars choose Rain-X. Small drivers in big cars choose Rain-X. Drivers with long hair and short commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with short hair and long commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with pets on board, babies on board, and bored babies on board choose Rain-X. Basically, drivers who love a clear view of the road all choose Rain-X wipers, the #1 wiper blades in America.
Does your car need a shine? At Britain's Touchless Car Wash, they make it quick, easy, and spotless every time. And they're open 24/7 for your convenience. Right now, get a free car wash just for joining their text club. Text BRITT to 30400 and enjoy a free car wash. Visit Britain's Touchless Car Wash at 1923 Larkin Avenue in Elgin or at 555 Willow in West Dundee. Britain's, caring for your car while caring for our community.
Before the weather gets too cold, it's time to finish up those outdoor jobs. That's why ComEd wants you to know that electricity can jump from a power line to you and to the tools you're using. So maintain a safe distance from any power lines. You can also call ComEd at 1-800-EDISON-1 to have those power lines de-energized the next time you do any work around them. Stay smart, stay safe, stay back. ComEd, powering lives.
America, and good day to our friends around the world. This is a political talk show here on WRMN. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of the show. We really appreciate you being here, as always, listening either on WRMN 1410 on that AM dial or over there at WRMN1410.com, where you can listen to the live stream audio-wise, or you can find the YouTube link right there, or go right to YouTube, youtube.com. You can find us at WRMN Radio. Appreciate you when you subscribe when you subscribe, you can also hit that alert bell too. So every time we go live, every time we post a new video, you'll get that alert. It pops right up. And if you subscribe, we'll show up in your feed as you're just scrolling through. So a lot of different ways to reach out and be a part of the show as well. That is through the text line 505-926-1410. 505-926-1410 is the place to go for that text line. Or today, since I'm live in the studio, you can give me a call. 847-931-1410. 847-931-1410. We're going to be doing an hour of just open phone lines and headlines over here. So if you get a chance, go ahead and hop in and give us a call. There's a few different places that I like to get my news from. I usually try to stick in that centered type of side, high factuality, and I get a lot of that grading from Ad Fontes Media. It's a great place to go to kind of look at the grade for your kind of look at the grade and factuality for your media as you ingest it. There's a couple different ways to look at it. You got obviously you got center, you got lean left or far right or far left. You got all those different categories. But what you really want to look at too is the factuality score. And what this is for a lot of publications is how right were they in the first place, right? How factual were they when they first released it? And then if they are mistaken, how quickly are they to correct it? Or do they just delete the file, or all the kinds of different ways that you can just erase your mistake in today's broadcasting type of ways? You can always go back in the Wayback Machine, but it's no longer for the public facing type of side if you're doing all of that. A lot of different ways that we go for this is we use a few different ways to kind of grade the media and grade the news. This is all objective. That's what we want. We want to make sure that we're not just going, you know what, this publication over here, they lean this way and they always are spinning this and spinning that, because they're out there. You can find them on either side. If you look at the interactive map for Ad Fontes, you'll see it kind of like a curve for everything. You'll see where high factuality is usually towards the centered side of things, where as you start to get more biased, your factuality drops. But that doesn't mean that they're just hyper partisan, what have you, if they lean one way or the other. A lot of times for our Overton window, on the left-hand side, we have MSNBC. It's the furthest you can go without really saying is far left. They are left. MSNBC is that left-hand side, and they are on that right edge cusp of that factuality score. If you go to the other side of the spectrum, on the right-hand side, you see Fox News in that same side. They are just on the other side of the bias side, but the same factuality. So it creates our Overton window of what we normally discuss in there. And hidden in the middle, we've got Forbes, we've got Associated Press, Reuters, The Hill, all these other publications that live in that same vein. So if you ever get a chance and you're just like, you know what, I'm tired of reading the news, but I still feel like I need to get some news. I know I got that autodidact type of itch too. I got to learn something. And so Ad Fontes Media and Media Bias Fact Check are two really good places to go to look at factuality scores. Now, if you're looking at bias ratings for things, those two do a great job too. Ad Fontes Media and Media Bias Fact Check do a great job with bias, but All Sides also does bias ratings as well. Now, they don't necessarily go into the factuality. They mostly go into the bias rating of things. And this is where you get where everybody places in that Overton window. The right-hand side has moved over so much that people like the AP or Reuters or even Forbes at a certain extent are lean left side, because it's not necessarily about the ideology, right? We don't want to necessarily say ideology left, right, far, because that's more of a subjective type of side to things. I know I'm trying to present an objective fact side of things, but the Overton window, by definition, is a subjective type of side, because it's our normal parlance, whatever we normally talk about, right? If somebody brings something up and it's cringy or it's on the fringes of something, and we get that weird feeling of like, okay, maybe we shouldn't be really discussing this type of thing here at this place or whatever. That's usually the edges of our Overton window. Somebody brings something up and we casually talk about it and bring it up, even if it may be rude. It's not to a point where people aren't engaging or things like that. So the Overton window, and we did an hour on it a couple weeks back. I may redo it again, but what that does is it presents this normality window, is really the best way to describe it. And so, do you have more of a left-leaning perspective? Do you have more of a right-leaning perspective? It really depends on where you fit in that window. Well, the direction that we've been going on the discussion for the right-hand side, where you want to talk about Tucker Carlson's or your Nick Fuentes or your Alex Jones or any of the other people that are over there, even then you can throw in Clay Travis or any of the other guys that are on that side. What they've done is they've kind of pulled the discussion more towards that farther right side. And I don't want to say far into the extreme side or whatever, but to that authoritarian, nationalist, that kind of side of politics, which inherently is right-hand side. But when you start talking about it more of a extremist type of side, you start to pull normal conversations that direction. And that's what expands the Overton window, to just give you the Reader's Digest version of it, as my friends seem to say. And so where we talk about things like this, we're looking sometimes of these established, almost 100 years broadcasters like the AP or Reuters, because the Overton window has expanded on the right-hand side, it now positions these people in the lean left column. Now, not full left, not far left, not extremist left, et cetera, but because the window has shifted further on the right, that puts them in more of the left-hand side of things, regardless of if AP or Reuters or any of these people change their publication. They could be giving the exact same publication, the exact same factuality, even the exact same bias of everything. But because our Overton window of our society is drifting towards the right, this is where they look at AP and see that lean left side. So just to kind of describe our news side for things, I know we get a little wonky in politics and we get a little wonky in municipality law and things like that. I always like to get a little wonky in a little bit of that deep dive into media as well, because media and politics are going hand in hand. We can look back almost forever and talk about mass media being a real swell towards political engagement for things. I don't need to get all Chomsky on everybody, but that's essentially where we're looking at right now. So we're going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we're going to go through some of the news that I'm talking about here. One of the things we've got is the BBC apologized to Trump after the speech edit, but they've said they refuse to pay compensation. So we'll look at the almost 30 articles that have already come out about this already, and we'll look at the bias rating for things like that, like we like to do when we talk about our headlines. Also, we've got some blind spots to go over as well. Now, blind spots are where if you only follow the left or you only follow the right in your echo chambers, you're going to miss these things out because it is underreported on those sides. So John Fetterman is up in the blind spot. Also, the Smithsonian Museums reopening are also in that blind spot for some reason, too. We'll throw a couple more stories out there today. We're finishing the hour with some headlines, and we've opened up the phone line. So if you've got something you want to talk about, a headline that's coming out, 847-931-1410 to give us a call, 847-931-1410. Text line's also open, 505-926-1410, 505-926-1410 for that text line. And you can always hop on the YouTube chat over at youtube.com. You can find us at WRMN Radio. I'm Dennis Sonar Green. We'll be back with more Apolitical Talk Show right after this.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. That's 800-785-1673.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-890-5957. 800-890-5957. That's 800-890-5957.
I know we're at an at-will state, but for making a comment, like, hey, your hair looks good. And then I got a call from HR saying, hey, you know what? You're under investigation. Do I have any recourse?
Were you fired?
No, not yet.
The problem, Eddie, is they can fire you for any reason they want. They literally can wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I'm a little bored this morning. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to fire Eddie for no reason. Yep, he can do that. Yep, that's California. Yep, welcome.
Handle on the Law. If you're injured and need a lawyer, go to handleonthelaw.com.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
WRMN. That's WRMN 1410 on that AM dial. And of course, WRMN1410.com, where you can find all of the links to the shows that are there. You can listen to us live right from that place, WRMN1410.com. Click on the Listen Live button there. If you want to watch us, we're over there on YouTube, youtube.com. You can find us at WRMN Radio. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. I am the host and moderator of a political talk show. Tomorrow's Free Speech Friday. It's going to be fantastic. I always love Free Speech Friday with our Free Speech Friday panel. I'm hoping to get a couple people from local municipalities over, but you know our buddy David Tease is going to be here with us as well. Phone lines will be open. And I'll see if we can get a good political game started. But first, let's get into a few of these headlines that we've got here. And one of them, because we've been talking about media, might as well segue over into the BBC. The BBC apologizes to Trump over the speech edit, but refuses to pay compensation. So let's just go into the centered analysis of this. There's no reason for us to be biased when we can just report the news. Then what we'll do is we'll look at the bias comparison for it. But on Thursday, the BBC apologized to President Donald Trump hours before his Friday deadline, and BBC Chair Samir Sahar sent a personal letter to the White House with the Panorama episode removed from its website. The editors found the Panorama episode had spliced excerpts from the January 6, 2021 speech, which unintentionally suggested a single direct call for violent action after the Michael Prescott memo prompted an editorial review process. Trump lawyers threatened a $1 billion lawsuit demanding extraction, apology, and compensation, while the scandal prompted senior resignations, including Tim Davey and Deborah Turnus, amid more than 500 complaints. The broadcaster rejected compensation despite demands for damages, says it strongly disagrees there is bias for a defamation claim, while apologizing to President Donald Trump. A second similar edit from 2022 was revealed, amplifying scrutiny, and legal experts said the British statute of limitations likely bars a suit there, meaning cases would go to American courts. And so I guess this is another episode of you can't use my words against me. Now, I understand, out of context, absolutely. We've got lots of things. I've said plenty of things on this show, quoting others, and even then coming up with my own hyperboles and fictitious quotes. Take any of those out, you can see what a monster I am. And I understand it. But to turn around and get another slap suit, strategic lawsuit against public participation, that's what this is you said something about me, I do not like it, even if it is my own words, I want you to pull it down. That's what this is. Now they pulled it down. They apologized. They even sent a retraction. But the money and the compensation is where they're drawing the line. Now, is this where tomorrow they pull the lawsuit down? I don't know. We'll figure it out when it happens. But that was the deadline that the president gave them. So now that's the objective facts of everything. Now, the comparison for left-leaning outlets, they emphasize Trump's threatened $1 billion lawsuit and BBC's refusal, is how they frame it, to pay, detailing the edit's 50-minute apart nature. Because that's the only edit was just 15 minutes in between. It was still part of his speech. It was still there. It was still everything he was saying. They doctored it. Now, what I would like to see is if this type of style is setting precedent. Because there are plenty of things that we see on all kinds of different outlets of out of context, these people's actual words saying. You want to look back at Jimmy Kimmel, again, the actual words that came out of the president's mouth. Right-leaning coverage frames the BBC's actions as intentional manipulation, which it was. Edits are intentional manipulation by definition. If you are unintentionally editing things, then I would like to question you on your ability to edit. It's odd. But using the terms like selectively editing, doctoring twice, and groveling apology are all things that are happening and being said on the right side of it. It portrays the BBC as a propaganda machine and slams conservative figures implying sleazy or deceptive conduct with the $1 billion suit threat underscoring its culpability. Whereas center-leaning reports neutrally present the apology and compensation refusal, focusing on the BBC's error of judgment. The pivotal dividing line is whether the edit was technical mistake or deliberate doctoring, and that is where the bias lies. And that is where we have to leave it on that one, but we're going to have some more blind spots. Yep, that's right, things that may not be reported if you only follow your favorite flavor of news.
I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley. This update brought to you by Cintas. An Elgin man has pleaded guilty to armed violence in connection with a 2021 double homicide. 35-year-old Joaquin Lopez Villagomez agreed to a 30-year prison sentence under a plea deal reached November 6. He had originally faced charges including first-degree murder, attempted murder, home invasion, and unlawful use of a weapon by a felon. Prosecutors say Lopez Villagomez and two masked men entered an apartment on North Jackson Street demanding money. When they couldn't break down a bedroom door, one fired through it, striking Francisco Reyes Hernandez and Ricardo Sanchez. A surviving victim later identified Lopez Villagomez, who had lived in the building. The other two suspects remain at large. In Aurora, two 18-year-old men are facing felony charges after a pair of early morning burglaries November 7th on South Eola Road. Police say officers responded to an activated alarm around 2:13 a.m. and discovered forced entry and a vehicle leaving the scene. A traffic stop linked the suspects, Andrew Gadalo and Brevin Coring, to the burglaries. Gadalo also faces a charge for criminal damage to property. Authorities did not release the names of the targeted businesses or the items taken. If your holiday lights are more dud than dazzling, Wheaton is offering a solution. Through January 30th, the city's holiday lights recycling program will accept broken or non-working LED and incandescent strands at the Public Works storage facility on West Liberty Drive. Lights must be loose, not bagged or boxed, and will be stripped and recycled locally by Elgin Recycling. Schools, businesses, and organizations can also participate with no limit on the number of strands accepted. The FDA is easing warnings on hormone-based drugs used to treat menopause symptoms. The agency says it will remove the bold box warning about stroke, heart attack, and dementia from more than 20 hormone therapies containing estrogen and progestin. Officials say new research shows fewer risks when treatment begins before age 60 or within 10 years of menopause. I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley.
The holidays are back at Starbucks, so share the season with a peppermint mocha. Starbucks signature espresso, velvety mocha, and cool peppermint notes, topped with whipped cream and dark chocolate curls. Together is the best place to be at Starbucks.
Find what you love and love what you find at Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you.
With the lowest prices for over 30 years, find what you love only at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly, B21.
With Progressive's collision coverage, my family gets up to $1,000 for vet bills if I'm injured in a car accident. And that makes this Chihuahua really feel like part of the family. What's that? I don't sound like a chihuahua? Oh, I'm sorry. What exactly am I supposed to sound like? I guess all chihuahuas are high-strung, riding around in expensive designer purses. Actually, I prefer riding in cars. So I appreciate that my family protects me with Progressive's pet collision coverage. Okay, maybe I am a little high-strung. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and is subject to policy terms.
When disaster strikes, flood or fire, every second counts. At Emergency Construction Group, they specialize in immediate response and same-day service for any residential, commercial, or industrial emergency across the Chicagoland area. With over 30 years of experience, they've got the expertise, manpower, and equipment to handle any size loss fast. They follow strict IICRC guidelines to restore your property the right way, the first time. Their team values transparency, constant communication, and strong ethical standards because your peace of mind matters. Licensed, bonded, and insured, they're here for you 24/7, 365 days a year. Call 855-4ECG now. That's 855-432-4669. Or visit their website at emergencyconstructiongroup.com and let Emergency Construction Group put your life back together one step at a time. That's Emergency Construction Group. Your satisfaction is their passion.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by Rain-X, America's #1 wiper blade. This afternoon, mostly sunny with a high near 53, temperatures falling to around 49. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 37. Tomorrow, sunny with a high near 64, temperatures falling to around 58 in the afternoon. Currently, it is 50 with clear skies. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
How do you stay humble when you're America's #1 wiper blade? That's what we're currently dealing with at Rain-X. Is it even possible to humble brag when you bully Mother Nature like we do? Do we sound too conceited if we keep repeating how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America? No, we'll take a lesson from our wipers and just keep doing our job with humility. As America's #1 wiper blade. Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
Political talk show on WRMN. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. Welcome back. We've got some news for yous right here. Blind spot type of news. Now, the reason that we put this together is because here on Apolitical Talk Show, we don't necessarily have a team. I want to point out skullduggery and con men and carpetbaggers and all of the other things from all the different parties. Because at the end of the day, there are snakes in everything. Bad apples, if you will. So we don't necessarily want to turn around and say, rah, rah, our team, because we don't have a team, unless that team is the United States, the citizens that live here. The people that live here, the ones that contribute, not the ones that leech. You can take that however you want to. We all have our people that we think is doing the worst harm, et cetera, et cetera. And this is where our first blind spot comes in. Now, this is something that was reported on CNN, so that was where it first came in with it. And then we get all of the publications that come after it. This is the news cycle now. Somebody says a thing on a network, everybody else repeats it over and over again. Instead of talking about what's in the actual reconciliation. We don't want to talk about the $500,000 that goes to, I think, 8 different senators that had their phones confiscated during the January 6th investigations. They get $500,000 from us, Right here. You and me. They don't want to talk about how in this reconciliation, all THC hemp products federally will be once again enforced. Sorry, Fourth Article. Sorry, 10th Amendment. Sorry, those states that recently legalized medical or recreational marijuana. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about what John Fetterman said about the Democrats. Because that's the red meat, right? That's the back and forth. That perpetuates this side. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just beat up on the right-hand side for anything for this, because that's all the left-hand side is putting out there, too. Donald Trump says something. Everybody jumps on that, writes article after article about that, because it's easier for me to take a quote, report the quote, because that's the news part, right? That's the little kernel of salad in my taco salad. That's the little thing to actually call it a salad. What are you talking about? I reported a quote that this person said. That's the end of the news. After that, it's all pundency and spin and whatever else it goes. We see it. I don't have to tell you which side. I don't have to tell you any of that stuff. You see it. You're not blind. I don't need to sit here and say, this side does it, that side. Look, we can both sides this to death with each other. But I don't need to. I'll let Senator Fetterman put that out, who was part of the notorious 8 that they got to pass the filibuster. John Fetterman stated that the political left has treated him more cruelly than the political right, which surprised CNN host Dana Bash. Fetterman described Blue Sky, which I guess is the alternative to X. I'm not on either one of them. Well, I am. I don't think I'm on Blue Sky, but I don't do anything with it. Fetterman described Blue Sky as a social media platform where the left's criticism is often personal, with comments wishing for his death. But we've seen the Democratic Party actually vote in an attorney general, I believe in Virginia, who less than 3 years ago, that same comments were coming out of his mouth, or I guess his fingers for the texting. And the Democrats just voted him in anyway. Double digits, by the way. Double-digit margins on that one. Cheryl Hines and Bill Maher criticized the Democratic Party for becoming increasingly mean, referencing Fetterman's experiences. A lot of them talking about the stroke that he suffered. And even then, you should not be wishing any person on this planet death. Senator Fetterman noted in his book that the most poisonous vitriol he receives come from the far left. That's quoted on Inside Politics. And so you can look at the bias distribution on this. Newsweek ends up being the only centered publication that puts it out there. Pennsylvania Capital Star, in Fetterman's hometown, is the only left-leaning source. And it only leans left. It's not full-on left, just leans there. This is absolutely the red meat for the Western Journal, the Revolver, Louder with Crowder, all of those on the actual right-hand side of the media. Not lean left, not necessarily far left, but our right-hand side. That's where you're seeing a lot of the majority of this report comes, because it verifies and I guess, vilifies their perception of the Democratic Party. You go on to the left-hand side, I am absolutely sure that you can find an exact article for the other side, maybe for Susan Collins or somebody like that. But it's this rhetoric that either side has refused to back down from. And so this is where we end up. When we come back, I've got a few more blind spots for you, especially in communication. This is another, if you only follow the left-hand side, you're not going to see it. Joe Rogan is talking about how the U.S. is on the way to a bona fide civil war. I don't believe him. I think he's another one of these doomers that thinks we're all just, but look, if it's going to be a collapse, it's going to be an economic one. That's how most of us here in the, I guess, civilized first world societies end up. But we'll see you on the other side, and stick around. More Apolitical Talk Show coming up after this.
For an unforgettable night out in downtown St. Charles at O Shows, where live music, dining, and entertainment come alive. Visit the iconic Arcada Theater at 105 East Main Street and experience the venue voted Chicagoland's premier entertainment destination. Whether you're enjoying a headliner concert, dining at Rock and Ravioli, or hitting the speakeasy at Club Arcada, O Shows creates memories. Tickets and event info at oshows.com, and you can call 630-962-7000. That's 630-962-7000. Make your reservation, bring your friends, and plan your next event at O Shows. Live music, dining, and entertainment, all in one place. Visit oshows.com and join the fun tonight. Supporter of the America's First Responder Fest.
Businesses come in all shapes and sizes. Integrity doesn't. For more than a century, the Better Business Bureau has set the standards for how businesses should operate honestly and ethically. So when you're looking for a business you can trust, check to see who's BBB accredited and who isn't. Always choose the better business. Look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
The road ahead can be unpredictable, but with the right partner, you're always moving forward. At Heartland Bank in Hampshire, we're with you every mile, every milestone. From savings to small business lending, we offer local decisions and personal service that gets you where you're going. Stop in at 819 Warner Street or call 847-683-4444. Heartland Bank, proud sponsor of America's First Responders Fest.
If your idea of therapy involves a fishing rod, a tree stand, or a campfire, then you need American Outdoors Radio. Host John Cruz speaks your language, whether it's about the best lures, tracking game, or that one buddy who always forgets to bring the beer. John's got the tips to sharpen your aim, the hacks to pack lighter, and the stories to keep you entertained. Again, that's American Outdoor Radio with John Cruz. Saturdays at 7 a.m. on WRMN 1410. Or stream it at WRMN1410.com. Get ready to outfish, outhunt, and outcamp them all on American Outdoor Radio with John Cruz.
To a political talk show here on WRMN. WRMN 1410 on that AM dial has been there going on almost 76 years now. My goodness, 1949. Yeah, that's right. I don't like to do the math on the air, but you know. Joe Rogan, who now has the #2 podcast, had the #1 podcast for a while. Then Midas Touch, I think, eclipsed him from there. For some reason, I'm not getting them on my YouTube so much. I guess they must be too far on the fringes at this point. This is a lot of it too. Since this last election, I've been seeing so many just Democrat sides. I'm there with you, Mr. Fetterman. I think the vitriol is pretty bad on the left-hand side. Now, am I going to say that it is worse? No, but I definitely won't say it's better. I'm not gonna pretend to claim that randos on the internet say nice things about anybody, let alone whatever political party that they've got. Every once in a while, you get into a good group of something. Reddit's okay for certain places, but even then, political stuff's going to jump over there. And this is where the podcasting realm comes in. Political podcasts are on the rise. They sure are. I've had one now. This show's almost 3 years old, somewhere around there. Started on WCGO, and now here I am, WRMN. But on Tuesday, podcaster Joe Rogan warned that the U.S. may be headed towards a bona fide civil war after Charlie Kirk's assassination, saying the country reached step 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. Mixing metaphors aside, I don't necessarily see. I see the animosity, sure, but I don't see the. I don't know. There's at a certain point there is a call to violence. Multiple calls from large political leaders, not just fringe groups, not just militias. I mean, that's where even some of our presidents came from. Were just militias. Hey, you're really good at organizing that militia. You should run for president. But we haven't gotten to the point where our political parties are calling for the annexation. Now, we can talk all day about, again, randos on the internet. Look, man, all kinds of people do it. For some reason, being able to put a anonymous mask over your face and telling somebody to just do whatever to themselves. I don't know. Is it childish? Sure, but plenty of things are childish that people do. And so if we're going to focus on it, because here's the issue with it. Moderate people don't scream about being moderate. They're not radicalized, right? Jessica Tarloff has a fantastic podcast. I can't remember who she does it with. But it's called Raging Moderates, right? Moderates aren't zealous to the point where people may be screaming compromise, maybe the nicest thing, but most of the time when people scream compromise, it's, hey guys, we need to do this. Yeah, every once in a while somebody flips a table and says everybody's got to shut up. We're all adults. Let's get this together. But neither side's doing that right now. And Rogan says that we're on the bona fide civil war because a lot of it is because of the political violence that's been rising. Not from leadership, but again, from extremists, from randos. And we don't necessarily have to jump into the Declaration of Independence, but one of the things that people were complaining about, Jefferson, when he wrote it, had all those people sign it, were keeping standing armies within our cities. Let's think about that. In a community, we've got police officers. We've got local enforcement. They know each other. They're neighbors. They hand out candy at the same time every year there. A soldier, sailor, airman, National Guard, whomever, not saying they don't have communities, not saying that they don't pass out candy over at their place, but they're not here. people from other states walking foreign streets in military garb describes an occupation. Now, occupation of one state to another, we can talk about federalism all day. But at the end of the day, the premise of standing armies within the cities is what the founding fathers talked about. And amid rising violence, Rogan pointed to systemic stresses, including profound social changes, like the deep partisanship, economic disposition, geographic segregation, and failing mental health supports, and violence that protests involving masked ICE agents, National Guardsmen, and armed militiamen, the ideal and ideological street gangs. Now, these aren't standing armies sans one. All of the other ones, protesters, mental health, ideological street gangs, armed militiamen. We have had those in communities forever. Just the way it is. Good, bad, otherwise, these groups exist. The catalyst that is happening for this right now is the actual government, an actual army being thrown into the mix. And they're not local. They're not pressing people from shopkeepers. They're not turning around and saying, hey, you able-bodied man that we just kicked off of Medicare or whatever else they say they're doing. Here's a uniform. By the way, you're better than that person. Here's 50 grand. That right there has happened before many, many times. I don't need to take it back to any World War reference for it. People that feel like they do not have a place are hungry for a place. We talked about Maslow's needs, hierarchy of needs. If they are given that place and given that mission, they will execute it, regardless of the community they are sent in to do. Now, somebody from the community, a peace officer of the community, from the community, lives in the community, they are going to have different priorities for achieving their mission. And this is the side of standing armies. So now if Joe Rogan is talking about that, if Joe Rogan is talking about a revolution versus a civil war, it may be a little bit different. I'm not here to push any political violence. I never will. I'm just here to tell you the facts. I'm here to explain things outside of the vacuum of the headlines. That's my job. At least that's how I position myself here. Where Joe Rogan is talking about civil war, it is I guess, I don't want to necessarily say the LARPing side. I don't want to necessarily, this is the grandizement, I guess is a bit more grandiloquent of a word. The grandizement, for some reason, the infatuation with war. Whether, again, it is the militias or it is the groups or it is the ideological street gangs, as he says. Those have always been around. It's When was the last time the United States occupied the United States? That's a little bit different. And I agree with him as well. He argued that Americans need to be urged to talk through differences rather than condone violence. He's framing the debate with rhetorical questions and condescending. This is the problem, is we can't talk to each other because we are in a battle of good and evil. What good is compromising with good? It's good. I don't have to change anything. What good is compromising with evil? Evil's evil. Why would I compromise with it? And this is why the rhetoric of good versus evil, right versus wrong, is always the worst framing for politics. We can put morality there, but we need to make sure it doesn't stop us from actually being good.
Political party poopers got you down? Shake it off and join me, Dennis Sonar Green, every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. on WRMN for A Political Talk Show, where we cut through the doom and gloom with a focus on America first, constitutional values, and a populist perspective that puts you, the citizen, at the center of the conversation. At WRMN, the talk of the town, we're not afraid to challenge the status quo and bring you the straight talk you need. Whether you're frustrated with the political establishment or looking for a clear, some nonsense analysis, this show has you covered. Tune in. Let's take on the issues together with a fresh, unfiltered approach. Catch us every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. on WRMN